Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 502 Model College for Girls. Assalamu alaikum 9th class. I hope you are fine and in the best of your health and spirits. Today is our 4th lecture of English. I am your teacher Miss Aisha Nazir and I welcome you all to the online class. Dear students, in the previous lecture, we started unit number 5. Unit number 5 is a poem. The name of the poem is Daffodils. And this very beautiful poem has been written by a poet, William Wordsworth. So, in today's lecture, we will be doing figures of speech. But before that, I would like to recall the previous lecture so that if you have any ambiguity in understanding, so I am going to revise or I am going to tell you the summary of the poem. Summary, which means main points, or it can be the main points of piece of writing. For example, in the previous lecture we did a poem, so we are going to do the summary, or we are going to discuss the main points of the poem. Daffodils, which has been written by William Wordsworth, is a melodious poem. And in this poem, the poet talks about nature. As we know that William Wordsworth is a poet of nature, and the poems that he has written, he has composed all his poems based on nature. Because William Wordsworth was an ardent lover of nature. He worshipped nature. And for him, nature is a creed. And his treatment of nature is quite unique one. So in this poem, Daffodils, the poet depicts a very beautiful scene of nature, that it was one day that he was wandering aimlessly like a cloud. Aimlessly, which means like he was going from one place to another without any meaning, without any purpose. And all at once, the poet saw a crowd of golden daffodils. The poet has called the daffodils as a golden daffodils because the poet was impressed by the beauty of the daffodils, so much so that he was engrossed in the beauty. And daffodils which were grown under the tree by the lake, and daffodils were moving their heads very joyfully in a cool breeze. The poet liked this scene so much, and he was inspired by the beauty of daffodils so much that he kept gazing them for a longer period of time. Because daffodils were blooming, they were shining and moving their heads joyfully in the cool breeze. So that he kept on gazing for a very longer period of time, and that beautiful sight of daffodils, golden daffodils, left a very soothing and everlasting impression on the poet's mind, that whenever he was sad, he was in his loneliness or in his solitude, that sight has become a permanent source of pleasure or enjoyment for him, that whenever he lies in his bed, whenever he lies in a couch, the beautiful scene of daffodils come before his eyes, and all his worries come to an end. And his heart started dancing with the daffodils. As the daffodils were dancing and they were fluttering their heads in a cool breeze. So in today's lecture, we are going to do the analysis of the poem, like how the poet has used different figures of speech in a poem, Daffodils. Okay students, the poet has used some figures of speech. A figure of speech is a deviation from a common mode of writing, and it is a word or phrase with a specialized meaning. Figures of speech often provide emphasis, freshness of expression or clarity. So the figures of speech the poet basically uses in their poetry, just to clarify the meaning and just to beautify the language of the poem. So the poet has used some figures of speech in this poem as well, just to beautify and just to enhance the meaning of the poem. As we have done the explanation of the poem in a very simple word, then we have started the analysis of the poem, in which we did the rhyme scheme. So further, the poet has used some figures of speech. So let's start with the figures of speech that the poet has used. The chief figures of speech are simile, metaphor, personification, alliteration, and imagery. Simile is a figure of speech in which like or as is used to make a comparison. For example, her eyes twinkle like stars. She was as busy as a bee. So what is simile? Simile means when a poet compares one thing with another. When we compare one thing with another and we use some comparative words. And what are the comparative words that we use? Like or as, such as. So if we use some comparative words like or as and we compare one thing with another, this is called simile. As we have example number 1, her eyes twinkle like star. So in this example you can see her eyes twinkle. We can also say like her eyes twinkle, but we have given comparison with star. How many things are there? There are 2 things, eyes and then star. So we have compared eyes with stars. And we have used some comparative word. And what is the comparative word that we have used? That is like. This is called simile. And the second example, she was as busy as a bee. We can also say she was busy. But here we have given a comparison that somebody is as busy as a bee. So we have used a comparative words, and what is the comparative words that we have used is as busy as bee. I hope you have understood what is simile. In this poem, the poet or the speaker compares himself to one natural element, that is cloud. If you could remember, in the very first stanza, the poet compares himself with a cloud. As I have told you, the poet is comparing himself with a cloud. And why does the poet compare himself with a cloud? Because the poet says that as he was alone, so similarly cloud is also alone in the sky, and that cloud floats over hills and valleys. As the poet was also moving from one place to another, in the same way the cloud also moves from one place to another. And where does a cloud move? The cloud moves over high vales and hills. And the poet has made the comparison, I wandered lonely as a cloud. So the poet has compared himself with a cloud, and the poet has used comparative word, that is as. And then the poet has also compared the daffodils with the star due to their large number and shine. The speaker or the poet notes how the flowers seem to go on without ending alongside of a bay, as the stars are stretched in never-ending line on the Milky Way. So in the second stanza, we can also see the poet has compared the stars with the daffodils. If you could only remember, the poet has also compared the daffodils with stars. And why did the poet compare the daffodils with the star? Because daffodils were in a great number, in a large number, a host of golden daffodils, and a large number or crowd of daffodils. So the poet has also told us that the stars are also unlimited in number, as the daffodils were also endless. So the poet has made a comparison between daffodils and stars just because of number. And then the poet also says that the daffodils shine like star. The daffodils also twinkle or shine like star. As stars shine at night, similarly the daffodils shine very brightly in the daylight. So the poet has made the comparison due to the large number and shine. And the poet has used the comparative word. And what is the comparative word that the poet has used? Continuous as the star that shines. This is the example of simile, and the poet has used simile in the poem. Second, metaphor. A metaphor is implied simile in which a comparison is made between two things without using comparative words like or as. It means that it is also an implied simile. Comparison is made between two things, but we do not use comparative words. Like in simile, we use comparative words like or as, but in metaphor, we do not use comparative words. We give direct statement. For example, he proved a lion in the fight. We can also say he proved like a lion in the fight. But what we say, we said that he proved a lion in the fight. This is an example of metaphor. And then the second example, the camel is the ship of the desert. We can also say the camel is like the ship of the desert. But we have said, or we have given a direct statement. This is called metaphor, in which we do not use comparative words. We simply give a direct statement. So in this poem, the poet has used metaphor, a host of golden daffodils. The poet did not compare daffodils with the gold. The poet has given direct statement, and the poet says that a host of golden daffodils. So this golden daffodils is a metaphor. The poet has used metaphor in the poem. Personification, it is another aspect of figurative language in which inhuman things or objects are given human attributes. So it means that it is also a figure of speech in which the poet basically gives human attributes to non-living things or inanimate objects. The quality of human beings is given to non-living things. This is the simplest definition of personification. And how has the poet used personification in the poem? The poet has given the human attributes to daffodils. The speaker describes the daffodils as having human characteristics which are not meant to be taken literally but instead imaginatively. The dancing and the moving heads of the daffodil is actually just the effect of the wind, but the poet finds similarity between daffodils' movement and dance. Daffodils are dancing. It is a personification, given human attributes or qualities to inanimate object used by the poet. So in the poem, the poet has given the human attributes to daffodil. And how has the poet given human attributes to daffodil? Because the daffodils were fluttering in the first stanza, last line, fluttering and dancing, and in the second stanza they were also dancing and moving their heads. So the movement and dancing, these are the qualities, these are the attributes of human, and the poet has given to daffodils. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze in the first stanza and tossing their heads in sprightly dance, these are the qualities of human given to daffodils. Alliteration, it is a repetition of the same consonant sound. As we know about the consonant sound, other than the vowel sounds are all consonant sounds. Vowel sounds are A, E, I, O, U, and the rest of the alphabets are all consonants. So the poet has also used alliteration of the same consonant sound. If we have the same consonant sound in one line, that is called alliteration. As in the first stanza, high over vales and hills, H is a consonant, and then H here is also consonant. So this is the repetition of consonant sound, high and hills. Imagery, it is used to make readers feel things through five senses. Like imagery, when you start imagining something, imagery, the poet has created imagery. Like when the poet has started telling us how he has visited that site and the beautiful and golden daffodils, the picture is actually made in our mind. How did the daffodils look like? So this picture that the poet has created, this is called imagery. So there are five types of imagery, like visual, auditory, smell, taste, touch. But in this poem, the poet has used visual imagery. We have taste imagery, like things that we can taste. Smell, the things that we can smell. Hearing means auditory imagery, like we can hear things. Touch, that we can touch. And sight means visual imagery, like things that we can see. So in this poem, the poet has used only visual imagery. Dear students, as you know that you have a weekly assessment. So in today's lecture, you have a very little assessment which is based on your understanding of the poem. As in the previous lecture, we did the explanation of the poem, we did word synonyms of the difficult words, and we also did rhyme scheme. And in today's lecture, we also completed figures of speech that the poet has used in the poem. So now you have assessment number 2. So let's get started with our assessment number 2. Students, now you can see on your screen, you have a few instructions for writing home assessment. Read question paper very carefully. Do assessment on narrow lined loose sheets. First of all, you are going to read the question paper very carefully. It is really very important. Read thoroughly, very keenly, and take narrow lined loose sheets on which you are going to write your assessment. Afterwards, write your name, class, subject, and roll number on the top of the paper. So it is really very essential to mention your name, class, subject, roll number on the top of the paper. And if you do not remember your roll number, then only write your name, class, subject, and assessment number 2 as well. Do objective section first. So first of all, you are going to attempt objective section, which is question number 1. Draw margin lines with a blue marker on both sides of the paper, or at least left side, just to make your assessment very presentable. This is the only purpose, that draw margin line on the both side of the paper or either left side, so that your assessment look very presentable. Write question with blue marker as you usually write question with blue marker, and answers with blue ballpoint pen or pointer. Now this is your choice whether to write answers with blue ballpoint pen or blue pointer. Solve all the questions given in the question paper. As in the previous assessment, you did not have any choice. So in the second assessment, you do not have any choice in the question paper. You are supposed to attempt all the questions. Write question number and question part as mentioned on the question paper. So you are going to follow the question pattern as it is given in the question paper. So you will not give your own numbering. You will give the numbering of the questions given in the question paper. Ensure that every answer is complete. So do not write incomplete answer. Your answer should be very much complete and accurate. Review the accuracy of your answers as well as your spelling and grammar. Dear students, keep in mind that you are attempting English paper, in which if you are doing some spelling or grammatical mistakes, you will lose your marks. So be careful about this. Maintain neat work, which will be highly appreciated. So your writing should be very legible and your writing should be very neat. Complete your assessment and submit it on Monday between 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So after completing your assessment, you are supposed to submit your assessment on Monday, and the timing which is given 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. at the reception of 502 Model College, Girls Campus. Okay, this is your assessment number 2. As according to the instructions, you will be writing your name, class, subject, which is English compulsory, and roll number, and assessment number 2. This is objective section A. Question number 1. Choose the correct option, that is A, B, C and D. Number 1. The poem Daffodils has been written by. Now you have 4 options. Option number A, William Davis. Option B, William Wordsworth. C, Shelley. D, none of these. Now you have to opt only one option. Number 2, out did the sparkling waves in glee. The underlined word means. Now you have again 4 options. Option A, shining brightly. Number 2, except. C, jocund. D, joyous. Number 3, continuous as the stars that shine. It is an example of, now you have again 4 options. Option A, metaphor. B, personification. C, simile. D, anaphora. You have 4 options and you have to opt one. Number 4, the repetition of the same consonant sound in the same lines is called. You have 4 options. Option A, metaphor. B, alliteration. C, simile. D, anaphora. Number 5, Dash is the speaker of the poem Daffodils. Dash is the speaker of the poem Daffodils. You have 4 options. Option A, poet. B, flower. C, daffodils. D, waves. So this is your objective section, which is question number 1. In section B, you have to attempt all questions. Question number 2, read the following stanza and answer the questions given at the end. First of all, read the stanza and then answer the following questions which are given underneath the stanza. So I am going to read the stanza. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So this is the stanza which is taken from the poem Daffodils. After reading the stanza, you are supposed to answer the following questions. Now you have 3 questions to answer. Question number 1, write down the rhyme scheme of the given stanza. And students, as you know that rhyme scheme we have done in the previous lecture. So keeping in mind the pattern, how do we do rhyme scheme? You are supposed to give the rhyme scheme of the given stanza. Question number 2, how has the poet used personification in the given stanza? So in question number 2, first of all, you are supposed to define what is personification. It means that you are going to give the definition of personification, and then you have to identify which personification the poet has used, where the poet has used personification, and then afterwards you are going to elaborate it, how the poet has used personification. First of all, you are supposed to give the definition of personification, and then you are supposed to identify personification used in the given stanza, and then you are going to elaborate how the poet has used personification. Okay. Now you have question number 3. How does poet compare himself with a cloud? How does the poet compare himself with a cloud? So, third question is really very important, because I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Then all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. So, after reading the stanza, you will definitely come to know how the poet has compared himself with a cloud. How does the poet compare himself with a cloud? What is the reason? So, you are supposed to give your answer keeping in mind how does the poet compare himself with the cloud. What are the reasons? Okay. students, when you are done with your assessment, here is a checklist. Your assessment should be complete. It should be correct. And correct means that there should not be any spelling and grammar mistake. And on time, it means that you are supposed to submit your assessment on Monday between 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the reception of 502 Model College Girls Campus. Good luck everyone. Thank you all. Stay home, stay safe, work hard, and Allah Hafiz.